Hey, how's it going? My name's Tegan, and I'm a student at Waterstone Church. Coming next year, our new series will be learning Jesus' prescriptions through the joy of the Beatitudes, so stay tuned for that. Next week is our annual Christmas party, and we will be hosting a live clue game. You and a partner of your choice are going to have to solve the mystery of Georgie Gingerbread. Who killed him? Why did they kill him? How did they kill him? Who knows? Santa is offering a $100 reward for whoever finds out how Georgie died. And you will be splitting that reward with your partner, so choose wisely. Until next week, my friends, make sure to register and become prepared. Put your thinking caps on, ladies and gentlemen, because this is going to be a show. To follow up on these highlights, make sure to check out YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook. And if we don't see you at the Christmas party, we'll see you next year. Peace.
Anna was not having a good day. Can we say yes and amen to that? I mean, think about it. First, she has detention twice in one day. Then, her mom's figuring out that she's failing certain classes. Her teachers are not fond of her and are out to get her. Her mom is upset with her. She lost her bedroom door and her privacy as punishment. It's pretty brutal. Then in the midst of all this, she's having problems with Jake, the guy that she likes. And now she can't even go to her own mom to tell her any of this because her mom doesn't make her feel heard and belittles her. So it's no wonder that she stormed off screaming. That's a pretty frustrating moment. Wouldn't you agree? If you were in that situation. How many of you have ever lost your door? I haven't. I'm just saying. Whoa, we got people in here that have lost their doors from slamming it too hard. Oh my gosh, guys, wow. that's next level. So, this is the thing though. What we saw is very common in a lot of households, unfortunately, today. And, think about it. How many times have we, with our own parents, seen that they haven't really been around as often as we need them or would like them to be, or maybe they avoid talking to us when it comes to relationships or dating, or, if they do talk to us about it, it's incredibly awkward and embarrassing. The reason I showed this movie clip to you guys tonight is because it gave a perfect example of a reality that a lot of us seem to face. And that is that we don't all have stellar relationships with our parents. And even if we do, we certainly don't all have stellar relationships with them when it comes to talking about our crushes or dating or our love lives. When we try to talk to them, it can be anything but easy or comfortable, even if we have the best relationship with them. So a lot of the time, it's pretty easy to feel like you're on your own. You're kind of out there just winging it and figuring it out on your own. Or for some of you, you might feel like you're living a secret double life where you can tell your parents a lot of stuff, but not everything. And by this point in our series, in our Best Beloved series, hopefully you figured out that that's the polar opposite of wise dating practices. And honestly, not having mature Christian counsel, regardless of whether you're dating or not, is like taking a shot of foolish, mixed with asking for it, and chased with glutton for punishment. It is the perfect concoction for dating drama, heartache, and spiritual compromise. And we here at Waterstone Young, we do not recommend it. But what we do recommend, however, is the formula for winning with God. Now you see, there are two ways to do anything in life: with God and without Him. The Bible has recorded countless examples of people that have chosen to do things with God and win, and just as many that have chose to go their own way without Him and failed. There's also thousands of testimonies in the global church of real life people that have chosen to do anything with God and found complete success in it, and then all those people that chose not to do anything with God and all the struggles and failure that came with that. So you can read in the Bible for yourself some of those examples, and you can choose to either deny it and learn the hard way and eventually become one of those global church testimonies yourselves. So here's what we want to talk about tonight. We want to talk about the source of wisdom, which is God, but a tool that God gives us in order to gain wisdom. Obviously, that's His word, but He's given us another one, and it's one that's often overlooked, especially when it comes to dating. And that tool is community. When you think about community in the church, a lot of times you have to ask yourselves, like, why did God create it? Why does He place so much emphasis on it? Because He does. All throughout the New Testament especially, there's a huge emphasis on it, and it's kind of like, why? We hear people always saying, you can't be a Lone Ranger Christian. God didn't intend for you to be a Christian all by yourself, and that's very true. But many times we compartmentalize and we think about our faith and community, and we think about it strictly in the sense of, oh, I'll tap into community at church to help me understand more about who God is. I'll use community to help me understand what his scriptures mean, what they're actually saying. And I'll use community to just help me stay focused on my spiritual disciplines, like reading the Bible and praying. But we don't always see the community as a resource on how to apply God's wisdom in all areas of our lives, our everyday, average, boring, normal lives, including our dating lives or our soon-to-be dating lives. We completely forget that part. We also forget that winning with God doesn't just happen, guys. It doesn't just happen. It's not like just because we believe and we maybe go to church and we go to Bible study and we come to youth group that we're just automatically going to win with God. That's not how it works. Winning with God requires strategic choices and effort on our part. And as I mentioned earlier, one of those strategic decisions, those strategic strategies, is seeking out wise counsel. You see, we have to look at our church community differently. We have to start seeing it as our spiritual advisory team. And I want you to think about it this way. How many of you don't have to answer, raise your hand. How many of you have sports coaches? How many of you have tutors? Or maybe an academic advisor, maybe you have a talent manager or a musical teacher helps you play an instrument, or like a vocal coach maybe. Some of you, if you're older, some of our student leaders or adults might have a financial advisor or like an accountant. And if our money, if our talents, if our academic futures, if our sports development, if all of these things are so important that we're willing to actually hire and pay a professional advisor to help us with them, then why on earth would we not want to have a team of spiritual advisors in our lives also? Because when you think about it, Psalm 62:6 says that our faith is the rock upon which we all stand, which means it is our foundation. And so by default, it is the most important thing in our lives. So we would kind of be idiotic to not want to seek out a spiritual advisor from the gift of community that God has given to us through the local church. So, how then do you actually take advantage of and leverage Christian community before and during a season of dating? Or even if you're older, engagement and marriage, because all of those seasons, it's very important to tap into Christian community. And the people that do often see great benefit and great fruit in that, and the people that don't. So there's one important way to do this, and I'm just gonna say it's called seeking out a mentor. Now, we do this because we want to supplement those Jamie Lee Curtis moments like we saw in the clip. We have those with our parents every now and then. We want to supplement those moments with some unbiased Christian counsel from other people who care about our spiritual walk. They care about our well-being. They want to help us win with God in all areas of our lives. And that includes our relationships. Now, I know a lot of you, some of you are new guests, welcome, thank you for being here. But many of you that I know you come from amazing families. And, the thing is, that's not an excuse to say, well, I've got great parents and I've got a great relationship with them. I don't need a mentor because they are my mentors. You're ahead of the game if you've got that. But wise people know that the more trusted advisors and mentors that you have, then the bigger the pool of wisdom you have to draw from. And if you're dating, you're going to need a mentor for yourself, a mentor that's older than you and the same sex and gender as you. But also, if you're dating, you want a mentor couple for you and the person that you're dating. And that's important. Now, if you're not dating, you don't need a couple per se. I mean, if you have that, cool. But really, you just need a mentor that's the same sex, same gender as you, a little advanced, a little further ahead of you in their walk. That's what you need. Now, I'm going to explain 4 ways that mentors are really important, because we're going to tie all this in a little bit to dating, but we have to set it up with why are they so important. First of all, get this. Mentors are not just for teenagers. They're not just for college-age people. Mentors are for everyone. It doesn't matter what your age is. Like, I have several mentors, and I will continue to have them for the rest of my life because they're important and they help. They're not just for a season. They're a lifelong relational resource. And here's what they do for you, all right? When you have a mentor in your life, you're going to be blessed with wise counsel, number 1. So this is the person you're going to go to before you make major decisions to ask their thoughts. You've already prayed to God, you want to talk about what you've learned, and you want to ask their thoughts on it to see if they can weigh in biblically. 2, they're going to offer you accountability. So yes, you're going to give them permission to probe, to ask you hard questions, but to be able to hold you accountable. 3, they're going to offer you, this is what everyone loves, they're going to offer you encouraging support. They're going to be praying for you. They're going to be lifting you up when you're down. You can go to them on a hard day and know that they're always going to have an encouraging word for you. But the most important thing that they offer is they offer you a chance for personal and spiritual growth when all 3 of those things that I mentioned start to work together. So I'm curious, by a show of hands, how many of you have in your life an existing spiritual mentor relationship outside of your parents? This is somebody that you've asked to be a mentor, you've made it official, you meet with them regularly, you discuss how you're applying faith in your life and in your relationships. Just a show of hands if you have that. Excellent. But, thank you guys. Notice not everybody had their hand up. Probably a quarter of the room had their hand up and the rest of you didn't. And that's because a lot of teenagers often think that they can't, number 1, have their parents be mentors in their life. Like, to them, it's just no. And then also they think that having someone other than their parent isn't really an option because they don't really know how to go about beginning that. They don't know where to start. And for some reason, especially when it comes to our parents, we feel like we can't be real with them. Anyone relate? Like, sometimes you just feel like, kind of like Anna in the video. There's this sense of, if I'm totally honest, totally real, totally vulnerable about this area with my parents, I might be judged. Or maybe I'm going to disappoint my parents somehow. There's all these fears. So a lot of times we don't take advantage of them as mentors. And here's what I want to tell you guys. How many of you would like your family, your parents in particular, to start treating you with more respect and more like a grown, mature adult in the household instead of like a kid that they're just constantly getting on? All right, thank you for your honesty, guys. You can have that. However, you don't just have that without doing something. See, to have that, what you have to do is you have to get over all those things I just mentioned about why you don't go to your parents regularly for counsel and to talk about these things in your life. You have to start showing them that you want to regularly seek them for spiritual counsel about all things, but also your dating life or your soon-to-be dating life or whoever it is you like. You have to be willing to do that with them. And that is going to give you credibility as a mature person that they can talk to about these things. But if you're not doing that, it's hard for them to treat you that way. So keep that in mind, all right? But let's say you don't have parents who believe, all right? Because maybe that's the reason. Maybe you're like, my parents don't believe, or one of them does, the other doesn't. Or for whatever reason, maybe you're sensing your parents are not very strong in their faith. You know, they just go through motions. Well, then how are you supposed to do that then? Well, for you, then it's incredibly important that you find an additional mentor in the church. Like, that is top priority, okay? If you don't have parents that are believers or that are strong in their faith. But there's another reason. Well, real quick, if your parents are believers and you're going to work on this with them, that doesn't mean they're the only ones that can mentor you. In fact, they may be able to help you find another mentor in the church. You might be like, I don't even know where to begin with that. They might suggest certain adults in the church to you and maybe even help initiate that if you ask them to. So they can actually be a blessing to help you increase your pool of mentors if you have believing parents in your home. Now, what are some of the biggest things I hear from teenagers? I hear from teenagers a lot when it comes to mentors, and I'm like, why don't you have a mentor? They're always like, well, and I'm always saying, wait a second. You don't have a mentor. What about your parents? Oh, no. Why are your parents not your mentors? And this is what they always say. Well, I don't agree with my parents. I don't agree with like 95% of what they say. They don't get me. They don't understand. They're really old and outdated in things. No. Or they'll share wisdom and they're like, their wisdom doesn't even make sense. Their wisdom is just like not on point. This is what students will tell me. And here's what I want to challenge you guys. If that's you, if anyone's thinking that way right now, I want you to think, we're going to do a perspective shift, all right? And exercise stretching our brains right now. I want you to try and think about your parents like this, okay? And I also want you to think about God like this. First of all, when it comes to God, we know that he can do anything with anyone or anything. Like there's nothing that's above him. He is never going to let us down. If we call on him, he is not going to let us down because he's God. He is all powerful. He's all knowing and he's loving. So even if you have some issues with your parents right now, you can trust God with them if you seek God and ask him to bless every mentor moment you have with them. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, but I can guarantee you that like nobody's hand will go up. And if you want to raise your hand because this does apply to you, then cool. But how many of you are actually praying and asking God, please bless mentor moments with my parents? Probably not many. And then we wonder why we don't feel like we can go to them and we feel like they don't get us and we can't talk to them. Have you talked to God and asked him to help you with it? If you do, watch what he does. I challenge you to do that and see the difference over time in your household. But if you're not asking God, you're just going to be on repeat with, they don't get me, they don't understand, I don't agree with them, over and over. It's so important to bring God into these things because when you invite him in, he is going to show up. He doesn't go, no thanks. He's going to show up. So I want you guys to think instead of you being discouraged or rejecting mentor moments with your parents, you can actually use them as an opportunity to seek God to bring about harmony, to bring about understanding and greater bonds of trust between you and them. Also, another thing is this goes two ways. You can be praying, God, bless my mentor time with my parents. Help them share things with me in ways that I can receive, that I can get. But you also can be saying, God, can you break my pride? Can you break my pride and humble me to be willing and able to receive these things? Because a lot of times it's pride that wells up in us and causes us to have a wall of, I'm not listening, I don't care, I don't agree. That's a lot of the times what it is. It's not even about our parents sometimes. And that's something we don't see because, as we learned from our last series, pride is deceiving. It's very easy to be blinded by it. So here's a concept that you may or may not have thought about a lot lately. But God has given you to your parents on purpose, specifically chose you for your parents and your parents for you for a reason. And that reason is because He gave a job to your parents to steward you in the faith. And that means it is literally their job to be all about your business. And God is literally their boss, holding them accountable, making sure that they are all about your business. And we don't think about that a lot. But when our parents are trying to mentor us and we're sitting there rolling our eyes and we're feeling like we're being lectured, we have to remind ourselves that they're actually just trying to do the best that they know how to carry out and obey what God has asked them to do in the job that He's given to them. And when we think about it like that, it's like, who am I to come between God and my parents in the job that God gave them with me? Like, am I that much more important that I can come between that? That's really, when we think about it, that's very prideful, but we don't see it that way a lot of the times. It's so easy not to catch that. But what we should be doing, and this takes a lot of leaning on God ourselves, we should be trying to help our parents with the job that God gave them to do, because it's a mission. And don't we want to see any mission of the Lord succeed? Not just, hey, I'm on mission in Uganda. Hey, I'm on mission in Guatemala. Hey, you got a mission in your home, and it's called your mom and dad have a job to raise you. They are responsible for you. You won't see it that way until one day you are a parent or you're fully grown. But that's what it is. And we have to cooperate with that. When we don't cooperate with that, it's not even about our parents anymore. It's about us indirectly sabotaging what God is trying to do in our home through them. Now, think about this. I'm going to give you another perspective shift, all right? I'm going to use a visual example. Just like I said that our parents we're gifts to our parents. God gave us to them. Well, He also gave them to us as gifts. And again, not perfect gifts, because none of us are, including them, but they're still gifts. And again, they're not the purpose. Why would God give you a gift to be your enemy? You really think that would be a gift from the Lord? Here's an enemy. Or why would God give you a gift of, here's someone to control you, here's a warden to just destroy your life and make it hard? Does that sound like a gift from the Lord? No. And before anyone goes there, no, the devil did not give you your parents, okay? God gave you your parents and gave you to your parents as well. And so when we think about it like that, we have to understand that some parents are going to do a better job at protecting us and guiding us than others. But they are all doing the best job that they personally know how to carry out the mission that God gave them in protecting you, in guiding you, in helping you to develop in many different ways, including in the faith. So I want you to think about this. What if you worked, whether you're a crafty person or not? So if you were not crafty, this can be extra hard. What if you worked really hard to hand make a very special gift for someone that you are absolutely crazy about? Like, you love this person to death, and all you want to do is see them smile and bless them. So you make this amazing gift and you give it to them, and they not only don't thank you for it, they complain about it and then stick it on a shelf to collect dust. That's what we do to God when we take our parents for granted and we don't use them as mentors. We don't try to talk to them. We hide things from them. And at best, maybe we have a good relationship with them, but we're really not seeing them as mentors in our life. God crafted your mom and dad with precision and with care. He had a vision of them way before their parents ever had them. He made them, and he knew way before they had you that he was going to give you to them. He gave you that mom and that dad, and he was so excited to do it. Are you really going to say, hate my mom, can't stand my dad, thanks God? Are you really going to go there? I mean, think about how irreverent that is. And even if you're super mad at your parents, why would you still do that to him? He wanted to bless you. And again, I understand that not all our parents are perfect, and they have some flaws and they have some issues. But again, there's a bigger picture God is working together. And I want you to really get this before I move into why this is so important for dating. Okay? Now, I want to share a story with you really quick because it goes along with the lines of how parents and how grandparents can be really, really helpful for you when you start to date or if you are dating, all right? How many of you know the comedian Steve Harvey? He's like I think he was, okay, some of you, he was like a Family Feud host, that show, and I think he was like a Miss America judge or host one year. That's him on the screen. That's his daughter, okay? This is a story about him, his daughter, and his dad, all right? So in the course of promoting his relationship book, comedian Steve Harvey told a story that grabbed my attention. He tells how he and his daughter and her grandfather were all gathered at a family function along with the new guy. This was his daughter's current boyfriend. Now, Harvey says the new guy had been around their house about 5 or 6 times, so he figured he had made the cut. And at some point, the boyfriend, Harvey, and the grandfather were all in the kitchen, and the grandfather turned to the boyfriend and he asked, "So, what's your plan for my granddaughter?" And the boyfriend kind of like hemmed and hawed and looked awkward, and he's like, "Oh, I don't really have a plan right now." And then the grandfather said, "Oh, no. What is your plan for my granddaughter?" So at this point, Steve Harvey's saying like, things were getting really interesting. So I was like, come on, guys, let's sit down at the table. So they all sit down. And because Harvey says that him and his father were also men, they knew something. They knew there is always a plan. There is always a plan. The boyfriend maybe didn't want the girl to know it. And maybe he didn't want them to know it. But there was a plan. So eventually Harvey says that the boyfriend admitted that he didn't have any long-term intentions for his daughter. He was like, "We're just kicking it." And Harvey says, "Great. Well, let's invite my daughter in and let's just tell her that she's just being kicked with right now." And Harvey says that they broke up the next day. So, as you can see, sometimes our parents can help us to really evaluate if someone is in the relationship with us for the right reasons and they're the right person or not. Can you imagine if that girl did not have her dad and her grandfather to help her figure that out quickly by having that hard conversation? Can you imagine how long she might have been kicked with and hung out with, and maybe she fell in love only to be heartbroken later? And this can work the other way. This can be a girl doing that with a guy, all right? So it's so important to not dismiss the idea of your parents or even grandparents as mentors in your life. Now, all right. Let's see. Make sure I'm staying on track with all of this. All right. So we spent a whole portion of this message, a long portion of this message talking about mentors, all right? Talking about community in church and also our parents. Now let's get to the dating part. Why is it so necessary to have mentors right before you eventually date and during your season of dating? Because to me, it could be like, oh, well, that sounds like a bonus. Like if I have them, if I can find them, like that's great. But if we lived in this perfect, sinless world, that's what they would be, just an added bonus. But we don't. We live in a broken, sinful world. And we actually have evil forces that are working against us every single day. We know this is spiritual warfare, and we've talked about this a lot. But I'm just going to remind you in the scriptures 2 places that really highlight and emphasize this. All right? Ephesians 6:12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places. And then in 1 Peter 5:8, it says, be of sober spirit, be on the alert. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking out someone to devour. So knowing this, and knowing we live in a world where Satan is always trying to deceive and confuse and take us down, then we have to do what 1 Peter tells us to do. We have to be aware and alert and wise. And we have to arm ourselves and guard ourselves from allowing Satan to fool us into our own downfall and our own demise. But one thing we know about Satan is, where has he had so much success with that? Dating. And it doesn't even matter how old you are. Anybody that's in a relationship with the opposite sex, Satan jumps all over that. That's like, he loves to attack couples and people dating. And he has unfortunately had a lot of success in perverting and distorting relationships like that to bring about confusion, pain, and misery. Because all of that doesn't glorify God. So he succeeds when he does that. So why do we want mentors? Well, let's first just think about something that happens when it comes to our culture today and what is considered normal and what's the message about dating. One way that Satan likes to try to deceive us and take us down with dating is that he has allowed our culture to develop into one that people think that growing closer to each other means to act as married as possible until you either eventually stumble into marriage with that person one day, or you break up because you're trying to be something that you're not, which is an actual married couple. And this is called counterfeiting marriage. People of all ages do this. And older dating couples do it this way. All right, this may not be you. This is older dating couples. They might counterfeit marriage through cohabitation. That's where they're living together before they're married. And they'll make all kinds of excuses for why they do it. Oh, it's economically more practical to do that. We can afford to live on our own better when we live together. Or we need to really make sure our relationship works before we make the decision to get married. If we live together, we're really going to see if we're right for each other. Counterfeiting marriage also includes, much of the time, premarital sex. So having sexual intimacy before marriage, or this is one that people don't think about, making big, major purchases together. So there are these couples out there that are like, they're not married, but they're going to buy a house together. They're going to buy a car together. Or, and this could maybe apply to some of you, we're going to get a dog or a cat together. And essentially they're doing it with like the intention of acting married, like they're the mom and dad of this pet. You know, we're sharing custody of the pet as if they're parents of a child. Okay? Sometimes older people will do it this way. They'll have a key to their partner's house or apartment, or they'll have a drawer of all their personal stuff in that person's house. That's not their house, but that's who they think is their marriage partner, and they're going to do that. They're going to have that kind of intimacy in those ways. But what about you guys? What do pre-teenagers and teenagers, if they're lusting after marriage, what does that look like for them? you guys might do it like this, or maybe your friends do it this way. It might mean you're sneaking out of your house at night so that you can go spend the night at your significant other's houses when your parents have already gone to sleep. Or maybe you're lying to your mom and dad about whose house you're sleeping over at, and you're really not there, you're with them. Maybe you're having sex, or if you're not, maybe you're doing sexual stuff with each other, intimate things. Or maybe you're sexting, and you're sending naked pictures to each other. I heard an ooh out there. Thank you for your honesty, or thank you for admitting that that's a problem in your generation. Maybe, people don't think about this one, but maybe it's like you have a girlfriend and she comes to your house and she's just like, your room is always so messy. Here, I'm going to clean it for you. And she's always like cleaning your room. Or maybe she's trying to score points with your mom and she's like, hey, Mrs. So-and-so, I noticed that, XYZ's laundry is overflowing. Do you mind if I do it for him? Trying to be like the wifey all the time. And we can act like, oh, I'm just being a good Christian. I'm just helping. If you're doing it with the intention of acting like you're married because it makes you feel closer to that person, it's really lusting after marriage. And it's something that we don't always see. Now, I do want you to understand that those acts that I mentioned in and of themselves, they're really just reflections of a deeper heart issue, okay? And that is lusting after marriage. That is, when we do that, what we're actually doing is we're putting, we're lusting after things and we're putting them before God, and we're putting them before its timing in our life, His timing. So we're actually putting things against God, and we're idolizing them. It's a form of idolatry. So why is it a form of idolatry? Well, because we make it compete with God in our hearts. We lust after marriage and we try to create the likeness of marriage before God's timing for it in our lives. What is the root spiritual issue? What's the heart issue? We just talked about it in our last message, or our last series, I should say. Pride. Pride, and it spurs off impatience within us. We're so impatient in this culture to grow up, to have adult things, to be taken seriously, to find our soulmate, to have sex, to do all these things. And it's pride that has us go against the Lord and His ordering of things. We think, we get deceived, we think that we can backdoor our way into marriage, not actual marriage, but something like it, something close to it. And maybe as you get older, girls, college age or whatnot, you might really think you could backdoor your way into marriage like that. Like, if we do these things, He's eventually going to pop the question. But that's not the way God does things. That's the way the world tells us to do things. And a lot of times it's a subconscious thing. We don't even realize we're doing it. We don't even realize that we are going against God because we let our minds get conformed to the patterns and the customs of our world and our culture. And that all tells us that the things I just talked about are totally normal. It's a part of dating now. Girls and guys don't look forward to, he proposed. They look forward to, he gave me a key to his house. No, we get it backwards today. And the problem with doing this is that we're not only sinning against God when we do some of those things and when our heart is postured that way, but here's the thing that nobody thinks about. When you do those things, when you're cohabitating, when you're having sex, when you're whatever all these things are that I mentioned, you're actually entering into a marriage. You are just entering into one, like as far as God's concerned, that's what it is. It just doesn't have His blessing. And it's not, made at an altar in a church full of witnesses. When you have a marriage without God's protective blessing, you can be sure that it's not going to be lasting, it's not going to be joyful, it's not going to be fulfilling, and it is not going to be fruitful in glorifying God. Right now, as I said all of this, somebody is probably thinking about some couple at their school. And this is the couple that is technically married in God's eyes. They're doing things reserved for married people. But they never had the reverence to seek His blessing and to wait to make the sacrament of holy matrimony. And a lot of the friends in school probably think that this is like the it couple. Like everybody's probably like, oh my gosh, they are so close to each other. Like they really, really love each other. They're perfect for each other. We just know they're going to get married right out of high school. And the thing is, they're already married in God's eyes. They just did so without his blessing upon them. They left him behind at the altar in their heart, and they gave him no invitation. That is not the way to start a godly, fruitful, healthy relationship. We know better as Christians because we have the word, which is the truth. Consequences do come when we get things out of order, out of God's order. He's the creator of everything. His order is the only order. It's the right one. When we get it out of whack, consequences will come because it means we're breaking his order. And when things are broken, they don't work. Now, why did I say all this? And how do I connect this back to mentors? Well, when you seek out mentor couples in your church community, then you're arming yourself with people who love God enough to love you with the truth. These are people that are going to, they're going to hold us accountable. If we humble ourselves and let them, they're going to gently remind us about purity in our minds, in our hearts, in our bodies. They're going to help us see if our actions and our thoughts start to lean toward lusting after marriage or something before it's time. They're going to call us out gently in it. And they're the ones who are going to see very clearly from a third-party perspective and keep us in check. So we can use these mentors as powerful allies in fighting against spiritual warfare while we're in a relationship and also while we're single and preparing to one day date. Or maybe you're called to singleness. You still need that in your life. You still need that accountability. Spiritual mentors are the ones who are going to help you understand that God's principles behind dating courtship are for us to enter into them prepared for marriage a year or so later. Now, I said that in every series or every message in this series. Why? I always get somebody at the end that says, why do you keep saying within a year? Think about it. You're in love with someone. You're both really attracted to each other. Isn't it going to be hard to maintain purity? Isn't it going to be hard to abstain from sexual intimacy or doing sexual things when you're really attracted and you really love them? So can you imagine being like, we're going to date all 4 years of high school, all 4 years of college, and then get married and have a year engagement? And you're setting yourself up for something there. It's wiser to wait until you're in a place to do something about it with that person. For gentlemen, that's afford a ring and ask her to marry you. For ladies, it's to be prepared to say, I'm willing to follow your leadership and marry you. So that's why I say that. And I just wanted to clear that up because I know I've said it a lot and people always ask me that. All right, so last thing. Mentors are going to help you evaluate who's a wise candidate for you to be dating. And then while you're dating that person, this is clearly someone who's following Jesus, it may not be a perfect fit. And your mentor is going to help you understand that and help you understand how to exit out of that relationship in a timely manner and in a right way so that you don't feel like your breakup is an emotional divorce. Like you're just devastated. They're going to help you do that in the right timing, in the right way. So if you don't currently have at least one mentor in your life outside of your parents, then I really encourage you to seek one out. And there are steps that you can take. They're not rocket science, but they are important. And it always starts with prayer. You have to first ask God, who is this person? Reveal them in the church to me. Ask him, will you increase my discernment so I'll know who to approach? Ask him to show you who's walking in spiritual integrity, who is solid in their faith. And then when you find those mentors, you have to make it official. You have to tell them what your expectations are. Ask them if they'll be your mentor, and then tell them what that means. Hey, I'm giving you permission to ask me really hard, nosy, probing questions on a regular basis. I'm giving you permission to check in on me, but I'm also telling you that I am going to be calling you a lot. I'm going to be regularly seeking you out. And you have to tell them that you might want to meet with them weekly or monthly, like in person, not just always on the phone or through texting. This has to be a real relationship. If you're in a relationship, then this is what you have to do for mentors. You have to make sure that you and your significant other are both on board with it. Because having a mentor couple is for both of you. It's not just something you do on behalf of your partner. And if they're not down with it, if they don't want to do it, you have to really consider if they're the right person. Because they're not being a partner if they're not on board. And the right person is always, always, always going to want to protect your spiritual integrity. And they're going to recognize that having an older, wiser mentor couple is an excellent way to do that. Now, they may not agree on who that person is. That's why you have to pray together and see what God does. But you have to do it together. You guys know, all of us student leaders, we've said it countless times, we are here to be mentors to you if you want that, if you approach and you ask. And we could be a mentor for you as a single person. And if you're in a relationship with someone, we have some married or soon to be married people that are couples that you can also seek. So it doesn't have to just be you and one person. You can also have that couple relationship there. So I know I went over time and I apologize, but all I'm going to say is you have to start with prayer and God will meet you in it and he will help you with it. But if you're not asking and you're not seeking and you're not praying, you're never going to know really who those individuals could be in your life. And you're missing so much wisdom and blessing. So let's get the ball rolling on praying right now. Bow with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for just helping us get through this semester, helping us to finish this series that we've been in. And God, we pray that tonight you bless our life group time. Help us to really process tonight's message and to feel safe opening up and sharing, to ask questions. And God, put mentors on our hearts. If we don't know who those people should be, then prompt us and give us wisdom to see who they are. Help us to get to know our leaders better here, which will help us make those decisions. I thank you, God, for what you're going to do. I praise you, and it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, guys, before I get down, I have one more live announcement that's very important. Can I have Mr. Paul and Miss Brittany please come up on the stage? Can you guys give them a round of applause? Hi, guys. So I want to share something with you all that's very important, and we're going to have Miss Elizabeth in a minute come up here. She's got something for y'all. What's from all of us. But Paul and Brittany are entering into a new season in their life, guys. They are, actually, Paul is going back to school next semester, so he's going to be a student too, but he's still going to be working full time in his demanding job. And Brittany has started a new job recently. So that has been a big adjustment with very long hours, lots going on. They want to start a family. You guys, please be praying that God will bless them in that way, right? Yes, little Pauls and Brittany's. And also there might be some new ministries on the horizon. So with that said, Mr. Paul is going to continue to be our worship director. And that means that once a month, he's always going to be here to lead us in worship with the team on testimony night. But after our Christmas party, they're not going to continue as weekly student leaders because it just wouldn't be wise with everything that's going on in their life. So I wanted you guys to know this so that you can give them extra love next week at the Christmas party and extra love tonight. Obviously, we're going to see them on Sundays and we're going to see them on testimony nights. And they're always going to be here for you guys. I know a lot of you have their numbers, have gone out with them for mentor outings. That doesn't need to stop. You guys, if you have a relationship with them, keep it going because they love you. And this was not an easy decision for them. But I want to support them in what I know is wise for them. So we're going to say a prayer for them. And then in a minute, I'm going to call Elizabeth. I don't know if you have it. Call her up so that we can give them some special gifts. And I do have a little card for you guys from our team. Will you guys bow with me so we can pray, please? Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you so much for the Sheltons. Thank you for Paul and for Brittany, God, and their marriage. Thank you for all the ways that they have served us, from camps to mentor time to praying to teaching, life groups. There is just so many ways, God. They have been encouragers and supporters and amazing brothers and sisters in the faith to all of us. God, we ask that you bless this new season that they're entering into, that you will bless them with a wonderful family, God, in your perfect timing, that they'll trust you in that, that you'll help them navigate and adjust through all of the changes of becoming a student again while working a demanding career, and that you'll help them to know for sure where you want them to serve. Should there be a new ministry on the horizon, God? Thank you so much for just having them as part of our church family. We are excited about their continuation for worship nights. And Lord, we just pray an extra blessing over their household. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen. And I have for you, Paul, we got you some Bluebell Rocky Road because that's his favorite, and he hasn't had ice cream in a while, y'all, according to him. Brittany, we got you flowers. We thought you'd like that more than Bluebell. So we love you guys. Enjoy. You can put that in the freezer if you need to, Paul. And thank you, guys. Give them a round of applause.